Okay, hello. I'm going to talk to you about a new company that we've launched called Virtual Case Systems in York, and the first major product that we launched with that company called Collider Case. But first, I just need to set the scene a bit for all this to make sense. The other company, Bright White, is a consultancy that's been around since 2004, again based in York. And we're interpretive designers, which means that we work very closely designing museums, but specifically about the learning aspect of museums. 10 years ago, it would probably just be called museum design. Now, there are some things in this presentation which may sound like I'm knocking museums, and I really, really want you to know that that is not the case. We love museums. We live and breathe museums. I'm talking very much about opportunities that we've seen to improve things, not about criticizing any particular parties at all. When we started out in Bright White in 2004, there really was a rule book about museum design, and each different major museum would have one. And since the sort of web and being able to freely download documents such as that, we've been able to look at the rule books of all the different cultural institutions and compare them, and they are practically identical. So the content of those rule books is things like the length of text that you might have on an interpretation panel next to an object, a word count even, and the duration, maximum duration of any kind of media that you might show, a film associated. So obviously I'm talking about traditional museum techniques here, but also sort of editorial guidelines on styles of writing. Very, very prescriptive. And at the time, I suppose we didn't really question it, but certainly in the last 5 years, we've really started to ask this question. I know some people earlier were talking about answers versus questions, and this is an example, I think, of a question, which is, where did that rule book come from? Does anybody know? Can anybody remember where it came from? Did anybody originally research it? Is there any document trail that proves where that understanding, that kind of inherited knowledge comes from? And why is everybody's rule book the same? Why doesn't there seem to be much differentiation between them? So we dug down and we couldn't find the source of those rule books. It'd either been lost from memory or something else had happened. Another challenge at the time was about museums having not much choice back in the day about using static content. What I mean by that is a text that goes with an object, or a text that helps describe an idea or a person or a place, is usually a physical panel. It's printed and it's screwed to the wall, and there's one chance to tell that story. So you've got to choose, as interpretive designers, where are you going to pitch that text? If you pitch it at expert level, then you're cutting out and alienating a huge amount of your audience. But if you pitch it down sort of at an accessible level for primary school children, you'll be accused of lowbrowing the subject, and I think that's fair comment. But really, not much choice with that. So I could show you a load of slides of what we've been doing over the last 10 years at Bright White regarding museum design, but the sort of epiphany point came with this project, the Battle of Bannockburn, which sort of started to challenge that rule book in an unusual way, because it didn't fit the rule book. For a start, there were no objects found for Bannockburn. It's a story. It's the historical record that we're interpreting. And in fact, our solution here, this isn't a presentation about Bannockburn, so I won't go into detail, but the solution there was to create the world's first major visit centre where the core of any visit is participation in a computer game. All ages, all abilities, all together in the same room, controlling your division around this 3D map. And as a result of that, we started to, there's just an idea of the detail of that map there. As a result of that, we started to look at that rule book again, just lean your eye over and just check it's still there. And then something unusual happened. We weren't expecting this. Bannockburn won a number of awards. It won an innovation award for the Museums and Heritage, which is our kind of go-to awards. And we thought, well, that's okay, because it's a very innovative project. But it also won, it was highly commended, in the permanent exhibition category, just for general practice, which we weren't expecting. It then won the ASVA Best Visitor Experience in Scotland, and started to think, what's going on here? And then the AHI, who really are the only sort of professional body who can give out accreditations to individuals and companies in our industry, gave it the winner award in Visitor Interpretation Centre, and then the overall award. And we're thinking overall award for excellence. And we're thinking, okay, what does this actually say? Two things. What does this actually say about us? Because, you know, those awards over to the left, the AHI awards, they're telling us that what we're doing is right in practice. And the awards over on the right are telling us that we're being innovative. So again, just have a glance at that rule book. Is it still there? So we've also never been happy with the way that museums are evaluated. What happens is somebody is paid to stand in the gallery and observe people, and then as they're coming out of the gallery, take them off to one side and do a quick survey. Very expensive. Only ever gives you a snapshot of a given day. And they're never ever repeated enough, if ever, at all. So you don't really get to learn anything about what you've done and given a chance to actually adapt it or mould it in a kind of progressive way. At the same time, we were developing the idea of virtual content as a means of solving this question of static content. What about dynamic content? What about putting content into a museum scenario where it's digital and it knows who you are? So if you've said, I am an expert, then you're going to get expert level content. If you've said that I'm a primary school student, you'll get age-appropriate content. We also could potentially give content in a visitor's own native language as well. We could also be tolerant to any disabilities that visitors have proclaimed at the reception desk. And it was at this point that we joined forces with a software developer over the other side of the Pennines, D3T Limited, and we created the company the company Virtual Case Systems and the product Case. So there are a couple of videos which I'm going to talk over here, but just to give you an idea of what Case is. It uses virtual content system and clever optics to put digital content right inside a showcase in the same space as an object. It's a 3D plane. You perceive it to be part of the object, but then that content can interact with the object. You can actually bring to life objects that are static and held inside this museum showcase environment. Really exciting from that point of view. Visually it works. It's really magnetic and it's highly engaging, but best of all, we can detect through a series of different technical means who you are as a visitor, and we can give you content tailored to you. Okay, so during these thoughts and discussions at the early stages of development of this product, we thought, hang on, we've got a computer now in the showcase, and really the way we want to treat that computer is actually as an Internet of Things endpoint, where we want to push content to it. We want a distributed network of these computers, and then we can manage content to them really easily. Once we've got a computer there, we can actually start to get data back from that showcase as well, and we can use some more analytic measurement techniques that are would be more familiar to sort of Google Analytics or web analytics. So we are capable now of. Let me just get this running as well. So there's a second short video. We're capable now of. This video here shows you how you can actually augment an object as well in situ, changing its color back to what it was originally, and this technique works and is complementary to the fact that objects are sensitive. So in a museum context, a showcase, you need to control temperature, you need to control humidity for conservation reasons, but this technical intervention actually doesn't affect that at all, so it's good for conservation. Okay, so I will leave this one running. Sorry, I think I'll double click on the videos somehow. So, in each case now, we have a video camera and a proximity sensor, which is measuring the audience who are at the case. So, how many people have looked at the case in a given day? How long were they there for? What age are they, using face detection? What gender are they? and what was the size of their party. And in fact, all that granular information is being captured all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we can do that for every case in the museum that is enabled with this technology. And then we can put that together for clients as a cloud sort of control center or dashboard to say, this content that you've created and when you've associated it with these objects in these cases is really hitting the mark with your audience segments. But maybe it isn't appealing to primary school children quite in the same way that it's appealing to other segments. So you need to work to improve the media which is being associated with primary school children. So this way, we don't need the rule book anymore. What we can actually do is give absolutely solid, rock solid evidence behind every kind of decision that a museum makes for display. If you're not sure which one of two ways might be best to display something, then create both and A/B test them. All the time, all this data is being collected, and that way we will know whether the display is being engaged with in the way that museums wish. And that will be the first time ever that has happened on that kind of continuous basis. So we're hoping to build a community around that as well. So we've got a partner organisation, which is a national network of museums, is taking the first instances of this, and we're already starting to work on building a community of knowledge about how best to apply this technology and really prove that we're connecting people with objects through stories into the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.